I am Timo with Professor Timo English Learning. Welcome to a mini lesson on troubleshooting English grammar. Today we'll cover a couple topics: plurals versus singular, verb conjugations, prepositions, and word choice. So please hit the like button. And if you like this content and you find it useful, subscribe for more of it. So I'll share my screen with you to start with so we can take a look at some of these common mistakes. This is what we're working with today: plurals versus singulars, verb conjugations, prepositions, and then word choice, choosing between using a noun, an adjective, an adverb, or a verb, which can sometimes be tricky. So let's jump in and we'll start with the plurals versus singulars. The first example, you've got the number 4, and you've got sides, so that works, 4 sides. However, here we've got the adjective plural. In English, you can't have the adjective plural, only the noun can be plural. So that will be 4 different sides. It's also important that you work on your pronunciation, so please repeat after me: 4 different sides. The next example, 90%. 90%. In that case, with 90% is never plural. After that, we've got more numbers: 80 billion, 40 billion. Moving on past that, here you get into the case of other, another, one other. These are sometimes confusing as well. You can consider this one, another, as just one. You can see in there, it's basically an other, one other. So in that case, that will be singular, another major marathon. If there's more than one, you can use other, and it'll look like that: other major marathons. Okay, moving on. Persons doesn't exist as a word, so this will be 33 people. People never has the S because people is already plural. So you've got 33 people or 60 people. The next example here, similar to this up here, other marathons, you'll need to say other disciplines. If it's just one other, say it this way: another discipline. So repeat these after me: other disciplines, another discipline. Moving on. The next example, we have a, which signifies one, just one, so you can't put that with decisions. So we'll say a conscious decision, or if you want, and it's plural, you can make it conscious decisions. The next example, the word them, is never plural. It's already plural. So you say each of them. That's like saying each one of them. Okay, moving on. A second option or second options, but in this case, it's just going to be one. So you say a second option. 2 more examples. When we're talking about all, you'll make that plural. All of the lawsuits, that considers the group as a whole. And make that one plural, that one singular: every lawsuit. So repeat these after me: all of the lawsuits, every lawsuit. And the final one, those is plural, so you'll need to say those companies. If it's singular, you say that company. So repeat after me: those companies, that company. Moving on to the second subject, verb conjugations. This is one of the most important things that I teach, and I stress this with all of my clients. If your verbs are right, speaking will be much easier for you, and also understanding when someone else speaks. So let's take the first verb, to mean. What are our conjugations? I mean, I don't mean, you mean, you don't mean, he, she, it means, doesn't mean, we mean, we don't mean, and they mean, they don't mean. You'll have this for all of the verbs in the English language except for the verb to be when you're speaking in the present tense. So all of our examples today will refer back to this one. We're using the verb to mean for this one, but we could substitute any verb in here, and we will do some examples. So that, for our first example, corresponds with it. So this will be, that means. You can see the second example, the S is just in the wrong place. So instead of saying it this way, we'll have, that means. Repeat after me, that means. Okay, and our third example, the people corresponds with they. So you see, you cannot put this S with the word they. So here, the people refer. The people refer to me. Okay, and our next one, we have many things, which is they. So we have the verb without the S, which is correct. It's just in the wrong place. So let's move this over here. And many things happen. That verb is conjugated correctly with the subject. Many things happen. Just make sure the subject comes before the verb. All right, in our next example, we've got a mind. A mind would correspond with it. With it, you'll need the S. A mind that believes. A mind that believes. Next example, the system will also be it. The system requires. So here's a good example of pronunciation. The system requires a photo. The system requires a photo. You can hear how the S connects with the A, requires a photo. It's a very different thing than saying the system requires a. So when you hear about it that way, and when you think about it that way, you can see there's a big difference there. Okay, I'll take my list on down with me as we move along to the next examples. Okay, so the next examples are talking about the word everybody. So everybody, nobody, somebody, anybody, that whole group will go with the third person singular. So here in our first example, we say everybody, but you can see you have two verbs there, is and agree. So we'll take out the is and we'll make it the S. Everybody agrees. Everybody agrees. Our next example will be the same. Everybody uses. After that, everybody lives. And you'll see this blue line here. We also need to change the preposition. Everybody lives far away from each other. That's a good one for your pronunciation. Please repeat after me. Everybody lives far away from each other. Everybody lives far away from each other. Okay, here we have a negative. Our verb is imply, and the this corresponds with the it. So here we have doesn't, like we should. However, you don't need to put an extra S here because we already have the S here. So when it's negative, that main verb won't have an S with it. The S comes with the helping verb, or the auxiliary verb doesn't. So in our example, it will be this doesn't imply. This doesn't imply. After that, we've got the verb to be. So people is plural, corresponds to they. People who sometimes are in charge. And in fact, we'll say people who are sometimes in charge. Note that over here. Okay, and repeat after me. People who are sometimes in charge. Next, the ones corresponds with the subject they. So the ones in the negative, they will go with don't. The ones who don't accept the agreement. Okay, so repeat after me to see how the don't and the accept come together. The ones who don't accept the agreement. The ones who don't accept the agreement. Okay, after that, we have an expression that goes with it. There's an expression that says, and make sure of your pronunciation with this word. This word is pronounced says. There's an expression that says. Okay, after that, most of them, that'll be plural. Most of them come. Corresponds with they. They come. Most of them come. After that, our last example, university, corresponds with it. So the university offers. And one thing you might find helpful is to look at the reverse. The university offers, the university doesn't offer. Most of them come from, most of them don't come from. An expression that says, an expression that doesn't say. This is one technique that'll help you practice your verbs, going from the positive to the negative, and also including the interrogative form when applicable. The third section is about prepositions, on, in, at, etc. These are very confusing for people from all over the world, so if you have trouble with this, please don't worry about it. You just need practice and exposure. So, thinking comes with the verb of, thinking of or thinking about. There's one rule. If you have a preposition followed by a verb, that verb will always be in the ing form. So number one, we say thinking of being. So we have thinking for our second one. So we'll change to book. Nobody was thinking of booking one. You can repeat that after me. Nobody was thinking of booking one. All right, the next one, involved, comes with the word in, involved in, involved in. One way to help you is to get this phonetically. If you can't get it just thinking of it and using your logic, prepositions can be understood phonetically. So try to repeat that as much as you can, involved in the case. All right. The next example, we have a preposition followed by a verb. So let's change that verb to the ing, the activity of sharing knowledge. Same thing here, involved in developing the business. And this one, the role of developing the business. So you can see that if you can work on your phonetic understanding of this, you might be able to make some steps here. Try it again. The role of developing. The role of developing. All right. After that, focused comes with on, focused on you. Disconnected comes with from, disconnected from the world. Depending comes with on, depending on. So don't forget that you can learn these phonetically. It takes some repetition, but you've got this video, you can watch it again and you can say what I'm saying, depending on the cases. So our final category is word choice. Okay, word choice is not typically the worst of your mistakes, because if you're using a word that's in the right word, it's just in the wrong form, your listener will usually understand you, but it's not perfectly accurate. For example, this one, terminate the contract. This one needs to be the adverb unilaterally. Terminate the contract unilaterally. Number 2, we'll say here the hugest party ever. This one is your superlative. Huge, huger, the hugest. You could also say the biggest. That superlative takes the with the est. Next, we have time. September to December. That's a time frame. So we'll say from September to December. If you have since, you just choose one of these, since September or since December. But here we have from September to December. Next, our principal. That's an adjective. You can't have the adjective form here. You need to have the noun form, our principal difference. You could also say there, instead of principal, our main difference. And then the final one, under discussion. So thanks very much for attending the Professor Timo mini lesson. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.